My reading will be divided between other poets' poetry and my own poems. The first poem is by Laurence Dunbar, who was born in Dayton, Ohio in 1872 to parents who had escaped from slavery. His father was a veteran of the American Civil War. His parents instilled in him a love of learning and history. Dunbar died at age 33 of tuberculosis in 1906 and was an inspiration for the Harlem Renaissance poets, including Langston Hughes. Sympathy. I know what the caged bird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from its chalice steals. I know what the caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling, when he fain would be on the bough a swing, and a pain still throbs in the old, old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. It is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings. Robert Hayden, 1913 to 1980, grew up in a destitute African-American section of Detroit known as Paradise Valley. His poem, Those Winter Sundays, was introduced to me by my good friend Bradley Fowler, who happens to be here tonight. So thank you, Bradley. Those winter Sundays. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices? This next poem is by the American poet Wallace Stevens, 1879 to 1955, and it is from the point of view of a Russian exile. A dish of peaches in Russia. With my whole body I taste these peaches. I touch them and smell them. Who speaks? I absorb them as the angevine absorbs anjou. I see them as a lover sees, as a young lover sees the first buds of spring, and as the black Spaniard plays his guitar. Who speaks? But it must be that I, that animal, that Russian, that exile, for whom the bells of the chapel pullulate sounds at heart. The peaches are round and large, and red, and they have peach fuzz. They are full of juice, and the skin is soft. They are full of the colors of my village, and of fair weather, summer, dew, peace. The room is quiet where they are. The windows are open. The sunlight fills the curtains. Even the drifting of the curtains, slight as it is, disturbs me. I did not know that such ferocities could tear oneself from another, as these peaches do. This last poem in the set of other people's poets is by Adam Zagajewski, a Polish poet. And Polish poets have long thought of themselves as national bards, called to engage with the harsh world around them. Zagajewski, born in 1945, is one of several Polish poets, the poets of ruin, forced to grapple with Poland's bloody 20th century. And this is a translation. Try to praise the mutilated world. Remember June's long days and wild strawberries, drops of wine, the dew. The nettles that methodically overgrew the abandoned homesteads of exiles. You must praise the mutilated world. You watched the stylish yachts and ships. One of them had a long trip ahead of it, while salty oblivion awaited others. You've seen the refugees heading nowhere. You've heard the executioners sing joyfully. You should praise the mutilated world. Remember the moments when we were together in a white room and the curtain fluttered? Return in thought to the concert where music flared. You gathered acorns in the park in autumn, and leaves eddied over the earth's scars. Praise the mutilated world, and the gray feather a thrush lost, and the gentle light that strays and vanishes and returns. And now this next set of 4 poems was written by me. So I invoke my muse. Psalm to a violin. Arm of my arm, body of my body, you wear your cracked skin, cradle, crook of elbow. Fold into me, your scroll my lid, your peg my bone, your bridge my tongue. You burn vowels, green vein, wound the skin. Treble strings, my gut, sing sotto voce, wound to taut pitch, blood quaver, pulsate inner lobe. When all is spent, a frame of blue, who will have you when I am gone? Arm of my arm, blood of my blood, body of my body. Aparajito, which means the unvanquished, and it's after the 1956 Bengali film by Satyajit Ray. Dawn breaks in the temple city of Varanasi. All the night long, Sadbhajaya mopped the brow of her beloved husband, Harihar. All the night long she fanned his brow, held water to his parched lips. Now, with every gasp for breath, Harihar breathes out a moan that reminds him he still lives. Apu, she urges her son, here is a brass pitcher. Go to the river Ganges and fill it with holy water, and come fast. Apu hurtles down the 84 stone steps, the 84 ghats, to the bank of the river Ganges. Temple bells toll the air in the mist of half-light between night and day. In the mist of half-light, Apu dips the brass pitcher into the flow. His 10-year-old legs climb the 84 ghats. His 10-year-old hands tend the brass pitcher of holy water. Satvajaya lifts the head of Hadihar, her beloved husband. His eyes open, and with one moan, his parched lips sip the holy water. In a moment, Hadihar's head jerks back into silence, eyes glazed back. In a moment, the earth shifts. In a moment, 84 blackbirds wail across the Aurorian sky. This poem was inspired by a homeless person I witnessed one frigid winter night here in the city. When red leaves turned to ice, what brought this lumpen sack of black to fold in, bend to 3rd Avenue pavement, frozen in prayer? The gray windows stare in wonder at the black sack frozen at an angle. Bend to 3rd Avenue pavement, frozen in prayer, his black coat melded to pavement, the December night. The black sack frozen at an angle. Was he there when red leaves turned to ice? His black coat melded to pavement, the December night. Will he still be there? Was he there when red leaves turned to ice? When ice melts to green? Will he still be there? The gray windows stare in wonder. When ice melts to green, what brought this lumpen sack of black to fold in? And now my last poem, The Lads of Larne, for Dylan Thomas upon the centenary of his birth. Larne, curious Larne, you remain alone, no lines connect, where cocklers still leave stone-damp flats at dawn to dig for cockles in the silted sand. Silt the late moon discloses, to tug the river Tav away, away from heron-priested shore, and dissolve in sky, sky so big the clouds spill in upon the river. Larne, dreaming Larne, gulls glide down your distant green, trail shrill notes that pierce blue air. Do you hear, or do you dream of limb-weary Welsh lads carousing your pubs, heavy days soot-spent, heaving coal from river barge? Oh, Larne, do you still dream of the poet in the boathouse, perched there on the cliff?
Sorry.
The cell phone was very polite to wait until I was done, and it is now off. I apologize for that, and thank you. Thank you very much for listening.